Hello and welcome to the live Under the Stick Super Rugby Aotearoa Watch Along presented by Big Red Cloud. Visit www.bigredcloud.com for all your online accounting needs. We're here for Cheifs and Blues. With me, it's Mr. Sean Holley. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. The dog had me up at 5:30, Andy. I don't know why. So I've been out for a walk this morning. If I fall asleep, just give me a little shout. All right.
A little bark. Paul Williams, how are you?
Very well. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing well here. Producer Adam Redmond, how are you?
Yeah, good. Had my cup of tea and delighted that last week was a reasonable success. So here we are again.
Settle for that.
Well done, Mini Redmond. Well done. We do not underestimate your input here. I'm just looking at the shot here of Caleb Clark's thighs in the dressing room. They remain enormous and impressive.
He's special. And
this. Oh, last week was so much fun. I was really interested in the build-up here watching the TV, and they're saying, yeah, he was really good to have his time in the seventh circuit. And then the next bit was, he learned a lot about nutrition and recovery. And all I'm hearing is, yeah, he learned a lot about how to keep kind of fit, slim, not blow up, but this is good. It's great. Akira Wani, Mr. Hoskins, I'm looking forward to this a lot. The Blues match was awesome this week.
I tell you what's quite interesting is how they've now, because they always saw him as the next 8 at Blues. And how he's already been slid over to 6. That must be a little bit of a kick in the ego. If you're always going to be the next big 8, and now all of a sudden it's, do you mind playing there because there's someone better at the back?
Exactly, better, and he's only 21.
That's the thing. And Akira's only what, 24? Is he 23?
Yeah, he's young enough in forward terms.
Exactly.
Now it's going to be good. McKenzie and Barrett at fullback, Sean. That is a nice matchup.
It is, yeah. I'm still a little bit doubtful of where Bodie Barrett's best position is. When you win World Player of the Year by playing 10, and then you get shipped to 15, something's wrong, isn't it? Likewise, McKenzie can play both, but certainly exciting. I expect a lot of points today. I don't know why.
It's the weather's been bad. They've said again and again that there's been a lot of rain. So last week we had an indoor game and then very good weather. So it'll be interesting to see now if this makes a difference, especially around the breakdown, because that was a big topic of conversation last week. Was it like 60 penalties between the two games?
But also, dare I say it, this weather's a bit more Gatlandy.
Well, I was thinking on my walk this morning that it's very rarely you see 2 Gatland defeats in a row, isn't it? They're coming home, and they built this up in the preview about a must-win game for the Cheifs. The Blues are definitely favourites.
Very good. So, boys, the all our audience out there, and we've a good few of you have just tuned in straight away. So, just told everybody out there on social media that we are live.
Morning, guys.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Stephen, Gers, James, Michael, just the LJs.
We got Andrew Swain on, brilliant. He says all black shirts, yes. So a little sideshow. Adam's gone traditional in true style. I've got a little special one on. I've got 2 signatures on here, and the first person to get them, if we get their details, I'll send them a little prize. How's that?
Oh, God, all right. I think you were going to send him that shirt then, which goes against our agreement.
I can't do that. This is a pretty unique shirt. So first person to on our live feed, who are these 2 signatures on here? I'll send them a little prize.
That's a good question because in fairness, we got one fairly quick, but we didn't get the second.
No,
so this will be a good one for someone.
There you go. I'm not going to flash it too much because I want to watch the rugby and talk to you guys.
Sean, is it fair to say that that you don't fill out that shirt?
Well, there's a bit of a clue there. Look at the size of it. And as Adam said, this was how we used to play in them. But yeah, there you go. Quite a unique shirt. Very proud of it. Doesn't come out very often.
Well, it's not very often you get together with some of your closest friends for an appearance to do a live Super Rugby Watch.
Correct, mate. Correct, mate.
Something we may not be able to say in eight weeks' time.
We might still be doing it. It's so good.
Yeah. We're on a run until they cancel us. Basically, that's how it goes.
Oh,
Okay,
let's
let's keep going.
Oh, hang on. Blues are going from deep.
See, that's going to be one of the things today to see, like.
Oh, hang on. Damien McKenzie's first touch, and he's run it this week.
I think he probably had a word this week to say, look, just play a natural game a little bit more.
Yeah. They mentioned him in the build-up that he was quiet last week and he was kicking a lot of ball.
Well, quiet, but I mean, he
was effective.
We must have said it 3 or 4 times that
Yeah, I mentioned in my column a little bit about his kicking was different. We mentioned it last week, didn't he? He was dropping in a lot of balls just over the top, as opposed to just long and deep.
Thomas has come through with a suggestion, Paul, on the shirt signatures. I'm only accepting 2 names.
Oh yeah.
He has come in. He has come in with Fitzpatrick and Jonah. Well,
he's ahead of the pack now because he can just keep listing the second name.
A lot of All Blacks.
If he just goes through that sort of 95 squad.
Here we go.
That's not helpful.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, class.
So we've had a Cheifs attack into the 22. First bit of action inside the 22 today. Gone for the crossfield kick, and it just looked like it was about to go horribly wrong and intercepted by the Blues, but Cheifs had it back. Cruden launches the bomb.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a bomb. It was a... Do you mean the cross kick?
Yeah. No. Just there from Cruden.
So, sorry, right. Oh, you're commentating. This is a new thing. Okay.
Yeah, I just thought, like, after last week when we completely missed the fact that it was Bryn Gatland hit the winning goal against his dad, that we should probably pay a little bit more attention.
Excuse me, hold on. A point of information. One of us did not miss that, and it was deadly though. I mean, having 2 drop goals at the end of that game, it was brilliant.
Oh, look out!
We've got some action. God, that's a silky run there, isn't it?
He's class. They're playing a lot more rugby this week.
They're already, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and much more. I wonder if Gatland's thought, right, we're not going to be able to do Northern Hemisphere in this league. We need tries.
Can always do Northern Hemisphere, mate.
No, I know.
Pure rugby.
Yeah.
Did you notice there as they entered the 22, somebody hit one of the fire cannons?
Yes.
I love those fire cannons. If that's something they do every time they get into the 22, I'm all for that.
That's quality.
What if you're in the crowd right behind the fire cannon?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, turn it off! For God's sake, I can't see anything."
I have been in the top tier of stadiums in Twickenham and Aviva Stadium when they let off 12 of them at the same time. Yeah. And from 150 feet away, you can still feel the heat.
You get a blast.
If you're in the press box, you can cook food. You could literally feel the heat. You could cook not chicken, but get away with beef.
Michael Jenkins, good attempt. Thomas is firing them in. He's desperate for some sort of prize. It's not going to be too much to write home about, guys. So watch the game. But there's some good. I'm gonna wait till half time, and I'll say the first person that gets them both right. James Reed. Famously, Sean doesn't fit any of his shirts anymore.
That's a
carry off the back.
Great! What a great pickup that is, isn't it? From the back of the scrum.
Sean, I'm glad you mentioned halftime because I'm gonna just double check. But we're planning to have a very special guest on at halftime. Someone who will be way more knowledgeable than any of us about what's happening, and somebody who's played and won not only in the Guinness Pro 14, but somebody who's also played Super Rugby for one of these.
I really hope he comes on.
Well, I've double checked because obviously it's morning time here. It's bedtime where he's watching because he's got a few kids, but he assures me everything will be sorted.
I was on to him last night. There's only one variable in play here, and we hope, like Mini Redmond, that variable plays ball.
There's no lock on the door here, so somebody could come crashing through at any time.
Oh, I'm telling you that's going to happen again this week. There will be a time where I have to say, "Gents, time out for 5 minutes," and I'll relocate. But that's okay. That is okay. The lads loved being on TV last week.
I must say, it struck me as well watching last night's game in the Premier League. It's just the pitch here is absolutely immaculate.
Yes.
You know, and I don't know if it's just a little sheen off the rain and everything, but do you know
That
what
looks like
thing after people have been sick for a long time and they get to go outdoors and it's like the air smells better and everything's fresher. It's like sport is just like, you know, it's this virgin territory again.
It almost looks 3G, doesn't it? That pitch, it's so perfect.
I tell you another thing I'm looking forward to, because obviously we announced hopefully August the 22nd, get his Pro 14 back. So hopefully commentating, doing some punditry. Obviously, sport has been missed, but commentary and punditry has been missed as well. Anyone who watched Roy Keane last night, it's punditry gold.
Yeah.
It's made my lockdown. I tweeted, I couldn't believe it. Me and my two boys were killing ourselves laughing. He was fuming.
Yeah, that's lockdown frustration. That's been locked in. That is for 13 weeks. Is that right?
Do you know what?
The head is having it now.
The perfect foil was happy little Patrice Evra on the opposite side of the table, just basically trying to tell him to chill out and just, you know, because I don't think many other people could have sat across from Roy Keane and tried to make him just see the funny side of things last night.
I'd have just laughed at his hair a lot.
You called it a sloth.
It did look like an animal sitting on his head, genuinely. Did you see? Do you remember last week, Sean? You were saying that some things when you've been out for a while, you need a lot of time as a group to get the timing back. That line-out move, the little intricacy there, that just looked as if one of the guys had missed a session.
Yeah, it's just off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly if they've introduced maybe one or two new calls, nuances, you know, and the guys haven't quite got enough time under their belt. Just because those, you know, they require a lot of intricate detail. This guy's offload central, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a really underrated player, Brad Webber at 9. Stuck behind Aaron Smith forever.
He's not bad.
Well, that's the trouble in New Zealand, isn't it? Once you get in that all-black traffic jam, there's nothing you can do. I was reading a really... there was a really... interesting Twitter conversation going on yesterday amongst the Pacific Island guys, and they were chatting about rugby in Fiji, and he was saying whenever they ask a young player in Fiji, what are your goals, and they always say, I want to play for Fiji, I want to play Super Rugby, and how he has to tell him immediately that you can't do both. So if you want to play for Fiji, you can't play Super Rugby. Wow. And it just made me realize how cruel that is. You can only, if you're playing Super Rugby, you've got to commit to the All Blacks. If you want to play for Fiji, you've basically got to go to France.
Yeah.
Which is weird, isn't it?
So it forces them a certain way.
At a certain age. So you can't, you have to commit before you've even started, really. Which is horrible. It's weird.
Adam, I'd like you to introduce Brian Evans, please. You're going to have a go this week.
Here we go. Brian Evans, morning again, boys, from Aberystwyth.
That's hilarious.
No, I'm sorry, Brian. I'm very sorry. I'm not
even going to tell you what it is, so you can get another attempt next week.
It's one of the easier ones too, because that's phonetic.
It's it does have a bit of a roll to it. As long as you hit the first mark, it's all right.
It's the Y's, the R's that are the tough bits.
Hold on, Damien's going to smile.
Yeah. Well, Brian Evans is a little bit closer to getting back home to rugby.
Do you know
that's Brian Evans' pick, by the way?
Do you know that smile he does? Do you think that is him doing like positive imagery in his head? You know, they always tell you to picture a positive thing just before you kick.
Yeah.
Is that him thinking a positive? Is it him just going, this is going over, smile, imagine it going over? Part of the visualization.
It's probably something simple as he's done it once because there's a comment from a crowd.
Right.
He's kicked the perler, and now it's become part of his routine. Remember the big arena? Remember the big arena? You know, kickers have routines, and they get into these mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, Sean. I was thinking the same thing because it's less of a smile and more of a
cheesy. You know, part of my routine.
It's kind of funny, but it's great. It's just great to have it back.
Yeah.
lot of kicking in this game, despite
a lot of
the fact
penalties
that
too.
we're very excited about the two teams that we've got. Understandable given the conditions, but kind of, I definitely thought like last weekend on Saturday morning anyway, the conditions of playing in the stadium in Dunedin with the closed roof, certainly boys were going for offloads and trying to do the high risk stuff early on. Well, I don't know if you call it high risk if you're a New Zealander. You just probably call it business as usual.
I think as well, there'll be an element, even though it's game 2, Blues get an away win, 2 out of 2. They're right in it straight away. Conversely, Cheifs coming home, lost one. If they end up losing 2, they're pretty much out of it. You know what I mean? It's such a short competition. So there's quite a bit on this already, even early in the comp.
I just saw a note from Charlie Morgan there on Twitter of the Daily Telegraph, and obviously Damien McKenzie's most notable contribution last week was he got some jackal turnovers. He picked up one early on in this game, and as Charlie says, that's 4 in 81 minutes for the well-known jackal machine that is Damien McKenzie.
Love a little back peel. Nice to see a back peel. I love peels.
It's been held. Ooh. Did well to get the ball out of there, didn't he?
Yeah. That's slow now, isn't it? Sean, you know from there now, middle of the field, under the post.
If I was a 10, I'd be screaming for this. I mean, it's the best place now. I know it's only a metre away from the line, and the forwards will score. But you know, I think if that was early in the piece as well, Paul. I think if you go in 8, 9, 10 phases, then there's going to be space on the outside. If you remember Wales back in I think it was the early part of the Six Nations.
Yeah.
Dan Big was screaming for it.
So you know if you are midfield there now and you can go left and right, is it ever a consideration to go left because that's more on the natural right-handed passes? That doesn't make any difference.
No.
Just go where the gap is.
It's funny you should mention that, Paul. If you look at stats for where tries are scored, there are more tries scored on the left-hand side of the field.
That's the reason
across rugby as a whole for that reason.
Yeah, and also that side, that winger tends to score. I can't remember the percentage, but it's a lot higher than the other wing.
Yeah, and and it wouldn't be a plan thing. It's just
no. I was just wondering if it was an unconscious that this is my easier hand. Yeah. So do I go? I was just wondering, because Sean, whether they coach it, and you know.
No, mate, it would be where the space is. Play to where the space is, where the less defenders. You know. What are you drinking, Williams?
Do you know? I wasn't going to drink it, but I was so thirsty.
Mate, it's 8:20, and you're drinking sugar.
Fanta, sugar-free Fanta.
Man, how long do you want to live?
Don't know. Midday will do. If I can just get to the early afternoon, string a couple of rackets, I'll be happy.
Paul, look, your unendorsed Wilson product placement is already getting another one this week. So can we just stop adding in sugary drinks?
No,
sugar-free.
Tell you what, it was either this or shock you, Sean. It was that or Spa Diet Coke.
Oh my God,
mate!
No, it's all like I was running late coming downstairs after the shower, so I just grabbed whatever I could in the kitchen. Missed that kick then with all my endorsements.
Teesside can't wait for Pro 14 to restart. Yeah, so there you go. So if anybody wasn't paying too much attention this week, Guinness Pro 14, we've announced that Saturday, August 22nd, hopefully we are back up and running. We'll have a target date there, and we'll have some derby action. So
I can't wait for those first derbies.
Get up at 8 o'clock in the morning for that one.
So, Adam, out of interest, was that announcement came before the increase or the accelerated lifting of restrictions here in Ireland? So that Ireland is only one of the territories, obviously, but
yes.
How does that acceleration impact that plan? It can only be a good thing, right?
Well, I think it's very much like, for people who are watching in Ireland, they probably have been aware that there have been restaurants and various other hospitality businesses have been advertising for a few weeks now that they will be open around that date. So obviously, through the right mechanisms, people are in contact with the government to get an idea on what the plans are. And obviously for us, we've had a brilliant job done by each of our unions across all the territories who hold those relationships with local governments, to kind of get a steer on where plans are going. So, for example, in Ireland, the provinces thought they might be back on May 18th. Obviously, that wasn't the case. And then, they probably became better aware that the end of June was going to be a good shot for them. And that's come to pass. So, yeah, I mean, I think with everything, like with these plans, I mean, we don't necessarily know where we'll be in 4 weeks. Everyone hopes we'll be in a much better position. And I think that's the only way you can kind of give people enough time to prepare and get back in action. No matter what line of business you're in, whether it's elite sport or you're opening a restaurant or you're a hairdresser, any of that kind of stuff. So I think being able to signal post that stuff has been good, and certainly from our point of view, we've our unions have done a great job managing those local relationships with their governments, and I'm also providing really clear assurances about how elite rugby or how elite sport can return and keep things safe in ways that your average man on the street or woman can't necessarily do if they want to put on an event. So
no, it is, and it's different looking at across the different sports. I know, like various medics in soccer, which we've seen a very widespread return now. They have conversations with perhaps their rugby counterparts, and rugby counterparts might be saying, yeah, we're further back because the nature of our sport is we've got a lot of people very close together all the time. You don't have that. We have different lessons and different measures to hit here. And this announcement was very clear from the Irish point of view. Yeah, contact sport can start earlier than we thought. This is the kind of clear message.
Yeah, and I thought it was good as well that last night the Irish government announced an aid package for some of the big sports here. So rugby, football, Gaelic games. It'd be interesting to see what happens in the UK, if there's any sort of stimulus provided for sports there, because like it's not just saying yes, you need to pay professional players and stuff like that, but there's a huge amount of important funding needs to go into grassroots, because those are the places that are not going to have the ready to go capabilities to get back on their feet, or if they've got to put in new restrictions or different things, if they got to educate people, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, every bit of support that comes from any direction is very welcome.
Another question from James Reed, probably to clarify, am I right in assuming the Pro 14 return will be without crowds?
Yeah, so for the meantime, we would imagine that there won't be crowds, but as we move into September, things might change across various jurisdictions. Now, as we move into September, that's semi-finals and final that we've got planned. So at the moment, it looks like you could have 3 Irish teams and Edinburgh certainly. Scarlets are not out of the mix. Mathematically, Glasgow not out of the mix. They could still pull something off. So yeah, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland kind of watch this space and see what happens in terms of what governments say is allowed, because really it's not a decision that the tournament makes. It's a decision that local government makes, and then you're allowed to go ahead. So yeah,
I'll be very annoyed if I'm selected to do some commentary for the final or semi-final and I can't travel. I shall be lobbying.
Do it from that room.
You'll be going full commando, across a ditch,
Yes. I'll swim.
Yeah, exactly. How did you get here, Sean?
Sean's just hoping for a night out in Edinburgh or Dublin, that's all.
You know my feelings on Dublin, Adam. Interesting, there's a lot of penalties again. Ball carrier.
So we'll come back. We'll have a look at those stats because we're a quarter into the game, right? So let's have a look in a little while and see what the penalty count is, because last week it was clear really early from that first game that we were having a lot of penalties at the breakdown. The commentators were, I thought, disappointingly quick on the day to say, oh, there needs to be a bit of common sense. But after, we'll see now if the second week seems like the first. It doesn't. I think one part of this is that the teams are playing it differently, as in they're going for it a bit more. But
here's one from Twitter that Andy has spotted. So would you like to do the honors here, Miss McGee?
yes, Estelle Hart says, challenge to the commentators, maybe stop talking about Bowden Barrett. There has been a lot of talk about Bowden Barrett, even when Bowden Barrett does not have the ball. I know Bowden Barrett should always have the ball, but sometimes he does not. Therefore, you don't have to talk about Bowden Barrett all the time.
You failed to mention Bowden Barrett at one stage there when you said when you should have said Bowden Barrett again.
That is right.
Abbreviated BB breaks it up a bit then.
It does a little bit, yeah.
That's a nice maul.
Penalty advantage.
Around the back of it.
Has Gatland done the 15-man maul yet in Super Rugby?
This is nearly it.
Don't think so.
There's about 12 in there.
I mean, when that happened with Wales, it was ridiculously telegraphed, wasn't it? The All Blacks still kept guys out. It was.
See, this has got very messy now.
But they got the pen, haven't they?
Yeah, but I think I'm not sure what the advantage is in continuing with them all once you've got the pen.
Yeah, I know.
Because once that momentum stops, there's nothing. So
Law 8 has probably had more conversations with refs as a coach about Law 8 advantage than any other, well, probably apart from Scrum, but
like what, Sean?
Well, it lists in the laws that advantage is either tactical or territorial.
Right.
Now, how ambiguous is that?
Yeah.
It goes down to the interpretation of the referee, and if you watch over time, the advantage, it varies from ref to ref.
Yeah, a lot as well, doesn't it?
So if you kick, so let's say there's an advantage played from that. There's a crossfield kick, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it was a bit further back, and they don't make the catch. Well, tactically, they've gone for advantage by kicking it. That's their choice. And territorially, because they've kicked to a different space, they've had their advantage, and yet the refs still come back for the penalty.
Yeah.
It's a real ambiguous one.
Yeah. So they're saying it's only an advantage if it's completed. Really,
I don't know what they're saying. That's the discussions I've had in the past. I don't know what they're saying. Basically, you're saying you can do what you like, irrespective of the interpretation of the law, because you're going to get the penalty. At what point do you not get the penalty?
Yeah. Oh, over the top. Oh, Gatland won't be happy with that.
So,
do you know when in conditions like this, Sean? Because when they close in on the camera, you can see it's really raining now. Do you deliberately shorten line-out calls, or is it make it too easy to defend?
No, I don't. I think as long as you got guys on the sideline with towels for the thrower, these guys are so skilled. Like that's a mislift.
Yeah,
it's a poor lift. And a miscommunication, obviously. So I think wind would play more of a factor on shortening lineouts.
Got ya. That's interesting. I always remember chatting to a coach a few years ago, and he told me a fascinating thing he used to coach in wet weather rugby. And I've never heard any other coach say it. And it still doesn't, it does make sense, but he was just saying that when it's wet,
there's no justice to that.
That offload on a dry day last week is made. 100%. That just slipped out of the end of the hand in the rain.
I was unlucky. Anyway, he was saying in the wet, he almost encourages his players to pass the ball more because the defending team is slower to react because the floor is wetter. Have you ever heard anyone say that before?
No, I don't think I'll hear it again, mate.
No, isn't that weird? So he was saying because you can react quicker, even though it's wetter, they react slower. I was just wondering if it was like an elite thing that hardly anyone knows about, or is it just absolute bollocks?
I think it could be a bit of the latter, mate. Interesting tweet that Andy's picked up from ball handling hooker at BH Hooker. This is very like watching Warren Gatland's Wales.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sean?
Well, I don't know. I think they're attempting to offload a lot more, aren't they? Although Wales were in the latter Gatland years offloading a lot more statistically. What are they trying to say? Maybe ball handling hooker is saying, well, at times Wales in the red zone in the 22 were frustrating. They did the hard work with impetus and pace, and then slowed it down to maybe a pick and go around the corner sort of stuff, and became frustrating in the number of tries they scored. So I can see that. But I'm looking at this thinking there's just a little bit more quality in the blue side to the Chiefs. The Chiefs seem to be reinventing themselves a little bit again.
Yeah. And it's so weird watching the Blues look competent.
This guy,
favorite, isn't it?
Number 8 to the try scorer, Nick Williams pointed out. But there again, another penalty with the ball carrier holding on. I'd be interested to hear those statistics.
Dude, that's the one from last week. There was a lot of them were simply about holding on. That's not being able to do that. Hold on and then place.
Yeah, the roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stature a bit slow being updated.
Jeez, he is frightening at 21, the size of him, isn't he?
Yeah, Nick Williams rated him highly on our Under the Sticks pod last Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was a good chat. If you hadn't listened to the Nick Williams chat, just go straight in. It's really good fun. And when he gets asked about when we talk about Satutu, he lights up. Nick Williams lights up talking about this lad.
He was really impressed with him. And just for those who maybe didn't see him last week and are watching him now this week, he's more than just a cool haircut and a serious unit.
Oh yeah.
This guy has skills and we had. This guy has skills, and we definitely are going to see a lot more of him. He was very excited about him. So,
and also the point that I think it was John Kerwin making before the game that it's
a great kick that is.
Oh, super! No, missed it.
Jess must have shaved the left.
Hope my 4 doesn't do that this morning.
A little draggy hook.
What's the weather like with you for your golf, Sean?
It's brightening up. It was rainy at 5:30 when I was walking the dog, but the forecast is to be okay. So 11:30 tee off. Retain my title today from last week's victory. Should let all our listeners know.
Put the sombrero on again. Band it in. Plate off.
Good time on the close-up to maybe reiterate the little comp I've got. I got a very special all-black jersey on. I'm looking for the two signatures. The two signatures that I've got on this shirt. I want them both in our live feed. If you get them both, the first person I'll send a little prize to.
Yeah, I don't think we've got it all. We haven't got a winner yet, have we?
No,
we haven't. Andrew Swain, boys, I reckon the Chiefs game day entertainment, people need to bring back the guy on the cherry picker with the chainsaw to put the opposition kickers off.
I don't know what that means.
Do you know what? I bet it's something to do with advertising farm machinery. It's bound to be. My favourite Kiwi advertising, if you ever listen to their radio, is the Mad Butcher. Have you ever heard that advert for the Mad Butcher?
No, go on.
I'm not singing it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, if you hear about him, the Mad Butcher.
But you know what? There's a good one because it stayed in your head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And apparently the guy, I can't remember the name of the business owner, but he spends a lot on rugby.
Here we go.
He's missed
no, he slid that one.
Oof.
Yeah, a little bit greasy for kickers, but the looks of it, isn't it? But interesting, they're going for longer shots. So, like I said about, there's a little bit on, a lot on this, even early in the competition. Oh, a little cheeky David McKenzie 22 dropout.
So, Andrew Swain's popped in with an update for me about what the hell's going on. Quote: This is about the guy on the cherry picker with the chainsaw. He used to rev the bejesus out of it really loud to put the kickers off.
Swaino is the Aussie equivalent of us three, right? He works for Fox Sports in Australia. He's getting revved up himself because in 2 weeks' time we got some Aussie Super Rugby, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
with different rules again. We have to talk about those.
Yeah, they've got the 50-22, haven't they?
Yeah, we'll do a proper one on the Wednesday night show about that because there's some
wicked.
really interesting ones.
I'm looking forward to seeing that new kick innovation. That'll be good. I was chatting to Sam Davis about it on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. It'll suit him perfectly.
Apologies, boys, to just attend to a local matter, as you do.
Local matter.
From a studio.
Do you know what I think is quite good about Northern Hemisphere people watching a little bit more of Super Rugby, particularly at this period, is them realising that they play in dreadful conditions. I think a lot of people think Kiwi Rugby's played in, Talia, don't do that.
There was a knock on there, sure.
Yeah. I think people think they play in dry conditions and that's why they handle well. But, they play in weather that's as bad as ours.
Sean, are you aware of this, or did you guys talk about this during my absence?
Yeah, we talked that while you were away, mate. Yes, Swaney. We were just saying that Swaney's getting revved up for 2 weeks' time. Fox Sports, Super Rugby in Australia. So he's very similar to us, mate, in terms of on the nerd scale. So it's great that he's joining in. Michael Jenkins says that it's sunny in Pembrokeshire, as always. Beautiful part of the world, God's country down there. So good to hear that, Michael. A regular to Under the Sticks, Wednesdays and Saturdays.
That's good going, isn't it? That's like coming training twice a week. That's good.
He's paid his subs.
That's first team level, that is.
I know. I'll almost have to give him a ticking off for that. We are a train once a week, play on Saturday. So that's
you only got to come once. Learn half the calls,
and you can bring a beer.
Exactly. Yeah, if you know half the calls, you're laughing.
Yeah.
Well, look, I hope when we, I think it's pretty evident that once there is some sort of form of normality back in our lives, we'll need a live event in Wales and Dublin, and hopefully Scotland.
Absolutely.
We'll see our regulars.
We're on tour, the Fab Four.
Yeah.
just to be let out would be a start.
Do you know what's really sad? Yesterday, I nearly got on a bus just to go on a little trip.
Oh, deadly.
Because they're still running buses. I walked under the village and thought, should I just get on the bus and just have a little spin around Cardiff? Something to do.
Yeah, the kids went on the train down the coast just for a little,
something to do. I know.
And they were thrilled. But it's that normal thing that has now become an exotic thing.
Yeah.
But it's great, and we could do that now. It's fantastic.
I'd have been the lone weirdo on the back of the bus, though, drinking out of a bottle of Fanta.
Yeah.
Okay, because you look perfectly normal most days of the week. So I don't think anyone would call you a weirdo.
No, that's true.
I would.
There's a park nearby, and over one end of it is where a lot of buses just that's where the end of the line and the start of the line is. So if you're not got your wits about you with the little fella, he'll spot the buses and want to go over, do the inspection. And then the drivers who were waiting just went rogue and opened the doors and asked if he wanted to go on. I was like, no,
don't tell him that.
Because of course he will. And I was just like, the last thing I want to do right now is get on a bus. I don't care if there's nobody on it. I do not want to get in a bus. And then we got on and you're just like, Ethan, do not touch anything in here.
Or breathe.
And there was a stagnancy in the air. As the public transport, there's not a hope in hell I'm going on public transport anytime soon.
Great attacking position here, left-hand scrum. Here he goes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Great carry.
He's making it 5 yards look easy, isn't he?
They've held him up, yeah.
Yeah, that should be. Oh no, he's down.
I mean, there's something to be said about those guys in your team who are massive carriers. That you've got to be on their shoulders, like literally, someone has to be on their shoulder all the time. Because if you allow them to make it an extra yard or two that you're not expecting, well, actually, you can turn a really good carry into a turnover because you haven't been there to support them or offer something on the shoulder. And I know guys, it was said to me before that some guys had to get used to playing with Stephen Ferris because they didn't realize just how much he'd carry through contact.
Through the back,
actually loose because he could actually loosen his legs up a little bit.
Paul asked me a lot about coaching and that. What a lot of coaches underneath the elite level fail to recognize is to coach support lines is really, really important. So I often talk about, people ask me about Shane Williams. Well, you don't coach Shane Williams because he did what he wanted to do. But you coach guys to learn his movements, his steps, his body language, and run at spaces that he would create. Same as, people like Nick Williams, who we had on Wednesday, Philo Tiatia, Xavier Rush. If you can learn to run inside lines or hard out to in lines, knowing that they'll get over the gain line or free, their arms up, you can get on the end of some great offloads,
One of the better coaches I was exposed to in university, he was a pro coach for the RFU, and the one thing that I thought was brilliant is every single session, even if we were just having a quick throw around the ball to get going, is he would tell fellas that in attack and defense to run gamble lines. So if you're out wide and the play is on the other side of the pitch, or vice versa, whether you're defending or whether you're trying to, if you think for a second that something could be on 40 yards away from you, get in position, start running, try get there to support the guy, or likewise try get there to make a tackle. And it's a real simple but effective thing, because it tells people to tells people to
see, mate,
people alert.
You think that hard line the centre ran last week? Forget his name now. Forget which player it was for the Highlanders. He ran a hard line supporting his inside centre. It's essentially a gamble line, because his teammate might not have been able to get that offload, but he ran it with the chance that the guy could free his arms, and boom.
And I think that's the risk you've got. Oh, hang on. Speaking of risk, Damien Kent. Paul, you're a big DMAC fan. Nearly at halftime, so we've had 120 minutes of DMAC. He hasn't quite. Oh, now that could be seen as a high shot. He hasn't quite lit it up in the way that you'd expect, has he?
No, not quite. And I was hoping I'd be able to get some accurate stats up, but they're. I think they're a little bit behind. But it's showing so far he's covered 41 meters with the ball in hand. Oh, Owane. And one defender beaten, which is one more than last week. He didn't have any clean breaks last week or any defenders beaten. So he has stepped one this week. I think the biggest differential in the stats so far is the tackles made.
Yeah.
So
well, a lot of
it was nearly Cheifs double the Blues about 5 minutes ago.
I'm loving this James Reid comment. So when we're on tour, I can imagine Paul driving you lot on tour around the country in something like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
We can do that. Sponsored by Wilson.
It'll be like a poor man's version of that Gordon Ramsay, Gino D'Acampo.
Exactly. Budget version on S4C.
There'll be a lot of Guinness and rugby in it. I know that.
And we have to learn Welsh.
Okay, so this is a 1 minute warning.
Here we go.
1 minute warning for our listeners that you got till half time to guess the two signatures on my retro, very special all black jersey, and I'll send the prize. The two names, come on, we've had a few guesses in already. There's still a chance. I'm going to give that away. Who are these two signatures? For a little prize I'll send. You got a minute to half time.
It's a 1 minute warning for the Cheifs here as well. They've got a good position. There's a card coming.
Hello.
Valili's off. He's going to be fantastic, that lad.
He's a unit, isn't he?
Yeah, blindside. I think he's already had 4 caps for the Blacks. 3 or 4.
I do have to say something this is very insightful when it comes to rugby. Sam Knock at scrum half for the Blues. That haircut is wild. I can't tell if it's a mullet or if it's just a clean cut and a dye. Yeah, that's super. I love this.
It's a key feature of Kiwi rugby, the haircuts. There's not a league other than the Exeter Cheifs. Kiwi
Chiefs.
Super Rugby is. You see some players, they've got 3 haircuts on one head. So they'll have like it's shaved on the sides, mullet on the back, short on the front.
Did you see the lad in the crowd last week with the front half of his head completely shaved?
Yeah, and then it'll be long on the back.
My God.
It's an unusual. God, there's the rain. Look at that.
Oh, no smile there. He just got on with it. He wanted to get in. So there we are, half time. We had a few guesses. Andrew Swain was the last one, Justin Marshall and Christian Cullen.
Oh,
We had a few guesses. Jerry Collins and Jonah Lomu said Michael Jenkins. A. Thomas had a few stabs at it. Zin Zambrook, Jonah Lomu, and he also had Fitzpatrick and Jonah. And Steve Lenthal had Christian Cullen and Jeff Wilson. Guys, you're going to be kicking yourself. Over here, we've got the one and only, the legend that is Jonah Lomu. There he is, Jonah. And then this side, it's Christian Cullen. So nobody had Lomu and Cullen together. Can you believe it?
What a combo.
Tune in next week for another one of Sean Holley's special signed shirts and prize giveaways.
Do you know what? If you could just get Jeff Wilson on that shirt as well.
That's the plan, mate. That's Marshy's my in there. I've only met Jeff once, but so Marshy's my in. Mark Freeman had a last-ditch injury time. Philo Titi and Justin Marshall. No. But no, yeah, I'll get old Jeff on here, and that'll be the trio that I got then.
Yeah, the ultimate back three.
I've removed Andy from the stream because obviously he's on the move. Did anybody see the Squidge put up a video of a clip from behind the scenes of the box? I think it's after the World Cup final, and Razzie's walking around the dressing room. I think he's going off to a press conference. He's double handing a big slice of pizza, and everybody's just analyzing it. It's like, oh, look at this great technique. Two hands, nice. Moving quickly. Does the cameraman with his eyes, spots space, boom, gone.
Oh, fantastic!
So there we go.
I wonder which coach would be happy with that half.
Well, the Blues.
Got to be, isn't it?
Got to be.
Yeah, in it at half time.
He'd be really annoyed with that. It's a triple whammy, really, isn't it? The penalty, okay. Papali gets yellow carded and 3 points in the red clock. That's a bit of a swing there. And I thought it was a harsh yellow. Might have been like a progressive one. I thought it was quite harsh.
Yeah.
He felt he was on the ball, didn't listen to Ben O'Keefe, but penalty was enough for me.
Because I must admit, when it happened,
builds up over time.
Yeah, because when it happened, I thought it looked legit. Like you say, he was on his feet.
Yeah.
But he must have told him not to touch it, and he did. That's the weird thing about rugby, isn't it? It's probably the only sport in the world where you're told by the referee as you're playing what the rules are. Like in cricket, you don't get the umpire sort of saying, telling you the rules as you go in, do you?
It's an interesting balance because I like refs who over communicate like that.
I do too. Yeah.
At the same time, there are games where you need the referee to simply start blowing the whistle and showing cards and telling them that they're doing something wrong. If they're not changing their behavior, that's no good. So you can talk them through, but if that doesn't prompt the behavior you need, lads, just blow your whistle.
I want a little shout out on Twitter. Martin Williams, not Nugget. It's at Loose Collie. He's tweeted, when you get time to watch New Zealand rugby and you realise that you cancelled Sky Sports during lockdown.
Oh, no.
At Sean Holley, Gogglebox on Facebook seems as close as I will get. So fair play. I'm gonna reply to him and say, come and join us.
Yeah,
it's you're performing a public service here, guys.
Yes,
exactly. This is like wartime broadcasting.
I love it. It is. I was intrigued with the point you made earlier on, Paul, about handling in the wet, and you are right. There can be that assumption. Oh, it's basketball, rugby. Oh, it's hard pitches. Well, actually, no, it's not. Some of it is about very simple things like being able to pass the ball accurately off each side when you're a front row forward in the wide channel to keep things going.
Totally. And
my apologies. We're going to lose, I think, everybody's faces here when I put up this tweet that Andy wants us to look at because it's a mammoth one.
There you go,
Andy. Just on your point there.
Apocryphal logic, even in the rain, the handling skill sets and back face play are still so impressive. Now, if this was a Northern Hemisphere game, it'd be a 30-man rolling maul in the mud.
I don't think so.
there's still a place for 30 men in the mud, right?
Yeah.
But our play has got a lot better over the years. One of those has been having better pitches. Better pitches.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But also skill levels are getting better across the world. But we are still, to be fair, we are behind the New Zealanders in terms of innate skill. I think that's fair, Sean.
Yes, it is. And we spoke about this last week, how they do the basics so right. I remember the All Blacks come in to train at the Ospreys training base when they were over in the autumn. And I watched, and basically the whole session was basic skills. Lots of catch and pass, lots of imagery and rehearsal of movements around the breakdown and line out, and and it shows. That first half of Blues Hurricanes last week. Have a look at the skill level, the catch and pass. We talked on Wednesday night about the Dane Cole's try, a hooker on the wing. Yes, he showed great skill and bounced off Barrett, but the pass he received was right in front of him, didn't check his run. So those basic skills are still paramount.
It's there's lots of junior teams and probably schoolboy teams as well. But have you ever been on a pitch where people spend maybe an entire 20-minute segment of a session practicing some intricate move? That move is never going to happen in the match.
It's never going to go. Yeah,
let's do the fandango.
But you're right. It's like spend that time doing the absolute basics, but doing them at tempo when you're tired as well.
Yeah. And that's why you do it. That's why they practice it. Because under pressure, that's where it counts.
Yeah, and that's the point, isn't it? Doing it when you're knackered.
Yeah. We had some training sessions where, just playing junior rugby, and by junior rugby I mean like your Sunday league stuff. But when people were tired at the end, you just practice your 3-on-2s, just real simple, hands, quick fix, etc.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because at that stage of the of a training session, you do need that. It's about just that mental sharpness you're trying to build into people. But I think the other thing that yes, people can talk about skill levels and talk about the players. I think what doesn't get enough credit in the Northern Hemisphere, and I know we have so many coaches who come up from the Southern Hemisphere, but actually our coaches are getting so much better up here. And there's always this constant debate, are they getting enough chances? When you look at, Aussies or Kiwis and getting some prime positions in terms of coaching, but you've got to look at the coaches that they work alongside, from Wales, Scotland, Ireland, and I think the mix of coaches who travel the world over the last, decade or so. I mean, if you look at someone like Graham Rowntree, who's now at Munster, and he's got that Leicester in him, he's got England, he went to Georgia. You look at Michael Bradley at Zebre. You look at Richard Cockrell now, who's been in France as well as Leicester, and he's at Edinburgh. Just all these guys, and actually one for people to look out for. Sean spoke to Leinster head coach Leo Cullen there on Thursday, so we'll have that out early next week on Guinness Pro 14 channels. And even Leo Cullen, when he was recovering from an injury later in his career, he went down to spend some time with the Highlanders and the Cheifs, and he told Sean about being able to, get up and see how Dave Rennie and Wayne Smith were running things, and being in those different arguments. Again, Cullen, another one who was in the Leicester environment, and being able to see all those different cultures and seeing how people do stuff from a technical point of view. So I think that our coaches deserve a lot of credit for the improvements and also for their ambition to play good rugby as well. So
Steve Tandy, who was with Sean, did a little stint at the Tars, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember going down to Queensland Reds, to Australia with Lynn Jones, meeting Eddie Jones. We went along to the Brisbane Broncos with Wayne Bennett, an esteemed coach, legend of rugby league in Australia. So it's really important. We had the Wallabies come with Robbie Deans come to train, and as I say, Steve Hansen brought his All Blacks to train. Ian Foster came and stayed at my house for a while. Nice. When he came over, and he was doing a little bit of research around. So they as well as getting jobs over here, the Kiwis are good that they do a lot of continuous professional development. They're very big on that. So it's great. Yeah. I got a great fan on here. Gareth Powell has called me a Muppet. What Muppet am
Who's
I,
he?
Gar?
So that's better. Which Muppet?
Which Muppet? Let's be
if you're
specific.
gonna-
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Let's do some homework here.
I know.
And let's see your photo, Gar, so we can see what Muppet you resemble.
And also, I think Muppet it's not really an insult because they were really famous and made a lot of money.
Well,
Like,
that's
if
not
you-
like
if
me
you-
then.
No, but the Muppets, Kermit the Frog, he was everywhere.
I'm going to take a moment.
Anyone here?
Go on, you go.
Anyone here used to training with small balls to improve hand-eye coordination?
I was
I
born
did
with
that a
him.
lot.
Too easy.
Yeah.
It was open goal.
Yeah. The other thing about tennis balls, you've got to have quite soft hands.
Yeah.
So in pre-season, especially, a lot of teams would have done that. Maybe tell the boys to go away and juggle. I think I noticed during the lockdown, the early part, a couple of the Connaught boys, Andy Friendo, another guy who interviewed for us, mentioned that he asked the guys to come back having learned a new skill or done something different, and a lot of them were teaching themselves to juggle. But you do use tennis balls, warm-ups, catching, like slip catching in cricket. You get a tennis racket. It's a bit of fun as well, but you've got to have soft hands. So yeah, it's good point. That is Mark Freeman.
Yeah, do you know, weirdly, Colin Montgomery did the inverse thing. He used to have golf balls made. I don't know whether I mentioned this before. He had a set of golf balls made that were the size of tennis balls, but the weight of golf balls. And then he used to putt in the same size cup so that when he got back onto a normal ball, that it would seem that much easier, which is pretty interesting. Never won a major, but that's what he used to do.
James Reed has said, Sean is, without question, Sam the Eagle. I can't remember Sam the Eagle.
I can remember Sam the Eagle.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
There you go.
Sam the Eagle.
We will
I
now
don't
have
even
a
know.
break while Sean goes to Google and looks up pictures of Sam the Eagle.
This is bullying. This is internet bullying.
I know,
I want lookalikes for the rest of you.
Joe, I'm going to take a moment because I'm looking up some of the stats pages, and I know it's been a couple of years, but I cannot let this go, right? ESPN Scrum's stats pages have been brilliant for people watching rugby, but when they did that refresh to try and make it mobile friendly, they absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah, they did.
Rant over. There is a route in for test matches, but I can't find it in for.
Actually, I have
rugby.
I have the stats up in front of me here, and actually,
You have the old ones?
Run through some of those. Yeah, the old ones, the traditional ones, which I found with no problem straight away. I just went into scores, selected the game, and they opened it. I don't know.
Oh, hang on. We've all been given a Muppet each now.
James Reed has become now an integral part of Under the Sticks. Well done,
Yeah,
James.
he's in. He's like
Reedo.
Andy's Gonzo. I'm Fozzie the Bear. I'm happy with that. I'll take Fozzie the Bear. That's fine. Adam is Professor Honeydew.
That is excellent.
I'm happy with Fozzie.
Oh god,
Could have been a lot
I'm
worse.
just going to quickly run through go back to those stats there, because
We should say they're
week
back
we
out
talked
playing
about-
as well.
Yeah, we were talking about penalties an awful lot last weekend, and so far we are looking at penalties. Yeah, 10 penalties conceded by Blues so far, 3 by the Chiefs.
See, that's
interesting. 10
yeah.
10 to 4 now. That's interesting because you wouldn't expect it to be a 1-point game with a penalty count.
No. So 10 out of the half, so you're looking at roughly 20, which is for the full 80, which is nearly double what you'd expect, isn't it? Normally, a normal penalty count's about 8 to 11 for 80 minutes last season. Mind you, that's in Test rugby, but still.
No, abroad it's 19 or 20 average in Super Rugby. But again, it's average is average, so you do have outlier games. That's what I'm interested in, to see if last week happened to be 2 outlier games. But since there was the law changes, I don't know, that kind of plays off. So
yeah,
we will see. See,
So it was quite interesting that Ioane has carried a lot more ball today. Now he's got Hoskins pushing him. Because I think that's the little thing about Akira Ioane. They wondered whether his temperament and attitude was right, or whether he's committed enough. But he seems to be fired up a lot more now. He's got a bit of pressure.
thing is though, it depends on the way your team's set up, because if you've got Satutu comes in and he's gonna be carrying a lot of ball, you don't necessarily want Akira carrying a lot of ball.
No,
Do you know
that's
what I mean?
true. Yeah,
But
you want then like a Collins type, don't you? Or a
yeah,
Kano.
it's just like that's where you have. It's interesting when you have balance across different jobs, different things you need done to win a game.
Yeah,
and depending on the mix of the team, a player could be. I'm just watching Talia now under severe pressure.
He's done really well there, Talia.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, we have a guest waiting to come in, so I'm going to give him another minute, maybe just make sure he's comfortable and set up.
Oh
and
my God!
He's,
Cool.
I'm genuinely excited about this.
Sorry, Andy, you finished your point there.
Back row mix. Yes. So when you slot players in and out of a back row, some players are people who have one thing and they do it well. Other players have a different balance of skills, and depending on who the other players in that back row or back five are, they could be asked to do different things. And sometimes when watching a game, you might not know that.
Yeah, it's true.
So you might say player X, he hasn't carried a lot this week, or player Y, wow, he was all over the breakdown this week. Well, maybe that's what he was told to do. He wasn't doing it last week.
And the perfect example of that was Lydiate, Warburton and Fallater. You know, a lot of people used to say, why is all Lydiate does is tackle. That's all he's told to do.
Because he's releasing the other guys. Exactly. And then if you have a different mix, if you don't have Lydiate, if you have a different six there, he's not going to be able to do what Lydiate does.
Correct.
So and it
was interesting that Nick Williams said in the week, and I spoke to him again the day after for another bit of content I was doing with him. And the second rows that he loved playing with the second rows who allowed him to never have to really clean rucks.
Oh yeah, like he'd have loved like someone who just goes around trundling, hitting ruck after ruck after ruck, and isn't interested in taking on the ball. That's a Nick Williams second row.
Well, the two he picked are basically players who like turning men into pate, and didn't worry about carrying the ball. You know, it was just about mincing flesh up, and then I'm off.
Right,
we are like that's right. We've got to get someone in.
An expert in back row play. Ethan Asewa, nice to have you on board.
Hello, Adam.
Oh, this is a big moment for the. This is.
How are you, mate? Are you well?
Very good. I'm very good. How's everyone?
Good, mate.
We're all right. We're great now. Rugby's back. This is now week 2. Thank you very much to all of you New Zealanders. You've given us rugby back with crowds.
With crowds, it's like actually there's just it's just normal times. There's a lot of New Zealand that was happy to see some sport come back, and yeah, to be honest, it sort of just feels like everything's back to normal, surprisingly. So it's we've been in such a strange time, yet there's sport back on TV and everyone's happy again.
How are you and the kids doing?
Honestly, the lockdown seems like a bit of a distant memory, surprisingly enough. They just, as kids do, they just jump back into school, jump back into the normal school week, and away they went. So they don't even really talk about lockdown, to be honest. It's sort of how resilient kids are, really.
That's amazing, isn't it? They just get used to it so easy. We were looking at last week's game. We did a bit of a watch along. Then we were looking at the Sunday game also. What struck you about the games last week? There was a lot of penalties. Was there a lot of talk down there in New Zealand about the new laws?
I think the thing that sort of overtook everything was just the bums and seats and the crowds at the game. That has been the biggest talker point, more so than anything to do with the rules. So I think it was all sort of overshadowed by the attendance at the game and the fact that rugby was just back on TV and everyone was in a good mood, really. So there hasn't been a critical analysis of the change in rules or even sort of tactics used so far. I think it's a strange thing. It's sort of like, you know, Saturday rugby back. I think that's the reaction everyone's had so far.
Paul, I know you've you're a local Super Rugby acolyte. You were thrilled last week, and just to have it back on, this is the sense of normality, even when we're thousands of miles away.
Super Rugby geek is the term I prefer if we're gonna be using that sort of lexicon. Yeah, man, it's amazing to have it back. And you know, it's funny. I had a chat with Nick Williams this week. He's doing a bit of work with this company called Bear Hug. They make supports and muscle compression sleeves, and we picked his most supportive ever XV. So, you know, a lot of people do, you know, the most talented, best handles. We did the most supportive, and you were his number 10, Issa. And he was so, you know, he was waxing lyrically about how impressive you were as a player and how good, you know, how good a friend and the relationship you had off the field. Yeah, so it was great having a chat with him. You know, talking about 10s and your former team, have you been impressed with Aotearoa Black?
You really have, actually. You know, for everything Aotearoa has been through, you know, even in behind the scenes, he had a great offer from certain clubs in Japan to go and turned it down and decided to stay. He's in a two-man race with Stephen Perifeta, and the actual balance and composure he's shown this year to actually step up and actually prove what he can do with the likes of Beauden Barrett joining has been pretty phenomenal. So the fact that he actually, you know, has taken his opportunity, taken on board All Black coming on into the team, and the stature of Beauden Barrett is phenomenal. And I think everyone's sort of been hoping Aotearoa sort of steps up, and he has, which has been great. Yeah,
absolutely.
He's still haven't forgiven you for signing for Leinster, not the Ospreys. But I want to ask you, where do you stand on the Bodie Barrett thing, man? You know, 10, 15. I know there's a lot of good 10s coming through. Has Bodie sort of established himself now and settled for that 15 jersey?
Oh,
don't think he got that.
No. Is it frozen?
Might have. Hold on.
Oh no, I can see him moving.
Yeah.
I can hear everyone but Sean.
Oh, that's
okay. Typical, that is, yeah.
I think what Sean was asking, has Beauden Barrett now, is he settling for being the 15 at Blues, I suppose? And further than that, will he end up settling there for the All Blacks long term?
Oh, who knows? Like, it's such a...
tricky, isn't it?
I really don't know. I think everything you hear, even week to week, is that Beauden wants to play 10. And whether that's the case or, you know, whether the reality is he's going to be in the 15 jersey, I do not know. I know a lot will be written about it this week, especially coming up against Damian McKenzie. Even the matchups this week are quite phenomenal across both these teams, sort of a whole bunch of a younger generation fighting out for positions, really, and some teams in great, in great form and players in great form. So, yeah, it's going to be some debate going forward. You know, we'll probably hear Monday that he's going to be in the 10 the next game. Who knows? But it's definitely a question that will be written about a lot after game 2, I believe.
Paul, just tell Lisa that as much as I love him, I still haven't forgiven him for not signing for the Ospreys and signing for the Leinster.
I'm translating, you know, he's saying Sean still hasn't forgiven you for not signing for the Ospreys.
I was actually talking about the, what was it, 2011 final that we lost to Ospreys, Shane Williams' last game. I think that one's still... there's always a few regrets in your career. That's definitely one of them.
Oh, listen,
sorry.
I was annoyed even sitting in the stand, mate. Here, look. We were talking last week about some of the talents that the Blues have here, but how it's been shifted around as well. Because you've got like Rico moving into 13. Is that a long-term fit?
Oh, I don't know. I think you know, I've got such a massive respect for TJ Faiani and what he's done over the last 3 seasons. This is a guy that doesn't get as much credit as he should, but you very rarely see him make a mistake. Even, you know, under sort of Martin Nonu's wing and everything he's sort of done as a team, this is definitely someone that's sort of the rock of the Blues backline. You know, who knows where he will end up. You know, to be honest, seeing him cement himself as a winger and get back to claiming that spot and staying on top of the world really in that spot, you know, I think should be first and foremost priority for him.
It's not bad when you've got Talaya and Clark coming through though on the wings. They are looking in really exciting nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, even with Sean Wainui and Sean Stevenson are the wings, that's why I really like this matchup because, yeah, Clark's been outstanding, you know, and it's such a team of talent that is finally, you know, pulling together and being directed, which is awesome by Aotearoa Black. And you're chucking that experience of Beauden Barrett and Dan Carter, and hopefully these guys, you know, it's not even a question or a hope to say, will these guys be picked for All Blacks? You know, hopefully they're in serious contention and can prove that. So, you know, there's always been that talent at the Blues for the last, you know, 5 years even. There's a lot of guys that have been in the makeup that are just sort of really expressing themselves as a team now. So, you know, maybe this form, as long as it continues, we'll see more All Black names next to these guys.
Comment in from Toby Hunt on Twitter. Some real interesting hair dyes being used by the Blues players. It's a bit of entertainment during lockdown.
That's incredible.
Oh, it is incredible. I don't think anyone in New Zealand rugby is complaining because it just adds to the entertainment of being back on TV. Yeah. So any type of storyline or any type of good news just makes rugby a little bit more exciting, which is good for the viewer.
Oh, it does, mate. It's really good. Right, I think we can let you go. Get about your evening. Thanks for giving us the time, Isa. It's been brilliant having you along, and I'm glad you're well.
Thanks so much, Isa.
Can you guys hear me?
I could hear you.
Yeah.
It's funny
one of the wonders of StreamYard.
Because we wanted Isa right at the start when he first signed.
Oh my God! Imagine that.
Oh, we tried. I believe there were employment law differences, you know, but and obviously Dublin compared to Swansea.
Yeah.
Wow, this could come back and bite you in a big way.
Do you know what? I'm from Swansea, and no one's arguing with that. I mean, you've got the Gower, but Christ.
It was very when you look back and the influence that Isa had over the years on that Leinster team in those two sticks, absolutely incredible. And when he came in first, it's odd because you didn't know what you had then. He had that early injury as well. He was floating between he was floating between 10, 12, and it was really only when he came through and was played at fullback. I think Rob Kearney was injured at the time. Then you're suddenly going, oh man, this guy is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
If you think, he was signed, he was playing 10 for Auckland Blues, goal kicking. He excelled at 15, wing, played in the centre, 10. That's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, didn't he? I think the employee. I refer back now. He got capped by Fiji for 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, yep. And it was always a big bugbear of his. I presume it still is now.
Yeah, I mean, just astonishing.
It isn't because again, just going back to times I've spoken to him before for various bits of reporting or media and stuff, and he kind of says, look, right, well, yes, playing for the All Blacks would be one thing, but then the other side of it is it wouldn't have brought him to Dublin, it wouldn't have brought him to Leinster and the life.
He's a lovely bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, and all his kids that were born there. And the other side of it was then people were saying at one point, oh, could we just get World Rugby to erase that cap and he can play for Ireland? And he's like, no, that's not the point here.
Mate, you tell 3 million Welsh blokes that they had 10 minutes for Wales and had one cap, but we'll erase it. you'll get a pretty unanimous answer.
Yeah. Set fire to your house. But wasn't there a little issue that he wasn't told the whole truth from the beginning? There was a little bit of he wasn't aware that it would be a full cap, and it was a little bit grey, a bit of a grey area. I'm sure.
I think what it was is the agreement was he would be on the bench, but he wouldn't be put on.
That's it, and that's it.
And with 2 or 3 minutes to play,
they brought, and he never really forgave it. I don't blame him either.
You know,
that's a horrible thing to do to somebody.
You know, look, New Zealand's loss was
well, there is that.
Hemisphere's gain, and looks like Andy's quality internet connection has struck.
Do you know what, this game? Go back to this game. The Blues for a minute there looked for that period 45 to 55. If they would just get into grips with the game, and they would pull away, but they can't get away from the Cheifs. You know, this is Gatland-esque again. Difficult conditions. Drop ball from a set piece. You know, I just wonder. Well, here's Tana.
So Tana's on the sideline mic here. So if he says something interesting, Paul, you can report into us.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. So you guys were teasing me with the Welsh pronunciation. Could somebody say Tana's first name there?
Tana.
Gone on screen. It's
we'll stick with Tana. What a player he was.
He's actually questioning the interpretations at the breakdown of the referee, which is interesting.
I'm shocked.
Good luck with that.
A coach would question a referee's interpretation.
I mean, he's a bit tetchy, so I mentioned that. I was thinking that Blues getting the grips. They can't pull away. He might be getting just a little bit, concerned that they're not pulled away yet.
Well, they're 11. The penalty count right now is 11 against the Blues, only 5 against the Cheifs.
Really?
Yeah.
Blues have had the ball too much then.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Just going to go back to James Reid, who was comparing us all to the Muppets, and I think everybody was aware of who Sam the Eagle is, and everybody knows who Gonzo is and Fozzie Bear. I think Professor Honeydew is probably a little less well known. So just for anybody watching, if you want to know what Professor Honeydew looks like, he's not the startled chap in the background with the red hair. He's the very thoughtful, intelligent-looking guy.
He's the jaundiced one, is how I describe him.
Sorry, I feel a Twitter avatar bet coming on, right? And the loser has to have them up as their avatar for a week.
Oh God,
that's great. Well done, James Reid.
Anything would be an improvement on your green screen at the moment. It just freaks me out every time I turn on Twitter.
Yeah, it's a bit Green Lantern, isn't it?
Sean's is good though, but you're verging towards a point, Sean, where you're going to have to say that's not a reflective picture of where you are in life now. Because I'd say you probably that's definitely your first TV stint days. Is it your current Twitter picture? Oh, Sean's frozen.
Yeah, Sean's gone.
We'll pop him back in as soon as he starts moving along.
See, well, there are a lot of bombs going up on the halfway line, which is very Gatlandy.
It is, yeah.
He doesn't like playing with the ball in the middle 10.
There we go, Mr.
Which, not fair enough, not many coaches do, but it's a particular trait. That's a nice kick from Damien McKenzie. Mind you don't want to be kicking a Clark, do you? Not with Bowden Barrett on his shoulder.
There's no lack of... Do you know what the kind of thing is? Like on a wet day, you kind of say, don't take too many chances, boys. Try and hold on to the ball. Nobody is... Like, they haven't turned the offload buttons off today. They're not coming off, but nobody is holding back.
No. They're not, but I'd almost go, like, there's another sequence where you'd actually prefer Barrett to go to ground, make sure that ball comes back. And he was flinging out a weird offload.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to share screen, Ad?
Off you go, see what happens.
I don't...
Hang on.
Can you see that?
Pop it up.
I don't know how to... I don't know how... All right, share. Is it up now?
Solo, so if you hit share screen there.
Yeah, if you hit share screen, and then you'll have to hit the thing you want to share separately.
All right.
You came
I'm
for
going
the
to
Rugby Watch
apologise
along,
to.
but now you. Oh wait, something's appearing. Yes, here we go.
Is it going?
There.
Yes.
So there. So Adam's top left, Paul's top right, Andy's top bottom left, and then I'm Sam the Eagle. So there you go. Just thought I'd.
That's us. That's a good combo. Oh, that look forward.
Excellent.
we were very quickly about to veer into live IT help. Podcast.
Oh, look how quick that penalty is. Tell you what, Gatler won't be happy with that.
No.
Do you know what, though? I really like all these breakdown penalties.
Well,
I think
this is
Can I tell you, there's somebody who doesn't agree with you.
No, I know,
Coyote. And that's a quality avatar right there.
And do you know, this is my take on more penalties, which I wrote about in the week, is that the more of them you get, the less important they become. So say if you only get 10 in a game and 5 in the opposite that are kickable, you're more likely to kick them because you need the points. But if you get 20, they become less important, so you're more likely to quick tap a few of them and take a few risks. So it doesn't mean it's always going to slow the game down. If you get 30 penalties, they almost become like free kicks in your head, don't they?
Depends where they are, mate. I mean, I quite happily have 20 penalties and the opposition's 22.
No, I know what you mean. But you know what I'm saying? If you get 30 compared to 10, you'd probably take a bit more of a risk on a few of them, wouldn't you? Maybe do an odd quit. If the defensive line is jumbled, you might take a risk. So, it's not all doom and gloom is what I mean. They can be good for the game in a way.
Just a sideshow. Adam Thompson's just come on. I think he's 38 years old.
He is, yeah.
He's been around, man. God, I tell you what.
Is that allowed in Super Rugby?
What's that? Well, he spent a long time in Japan.
I thought as soon as you turn 30, you're not allowed to play Super Rugby.
But he's been in Japan for a long time.
But it's like, firstly, he's 38. Second, he had a spine infection.
Yeah, he was really ill.
Yeah, it's about 18. I'm going to say 12 to 18 months ago. Like nasty.
Yeah, he was really, really ill.
Yeah.
But
so
I'd love to see the average career span. Oh my Lord, look at that carry. I'd love to see the average lifespan for some of these Super Rugby players, particularly the New Zealanders, because like every year, we always see, every year you turn on and you come across 3 players, you're like, oh my God, this is the next killer All Black who's going to come and destroy us all in November. It always is. There's always some 21, 22-year-old guys. You're like, oh God, here's another ready-made one. But the level below that is still such a huge standard. Cheeky drop goal from Bowden.
Great option, that is.
That is. Sean, are you playing golf later?
I am, yeah.
That was a lovely swing of the leg, wasn't it?
It was hopefully my 9 iron's working like that.
Yeah, little wedge.
Look at this.
Bang.
Thank you very much. God. Head down.
Tell you what that was. That's I want to play 10 next week, please.
Oh.
But the placement of the ball, it bounced back up in a 90-degree angle as well. It was every single thing about that.
Yeah.
And there was about 5 fellas running straight towards him trying to kill him.
Isn't it interesting what Ethan Siwa was saying, that Barrett wants to play 10, and that's the talk. And yet at province and country, he's not been picked there.
Well, Mwanga, that's who they want there, isn't it? At 10. So he's got 2 problems.
But it's not even that. Just me as a rugby fan, I don't want Bowden Barrett to touch the ball 100 times. I want him to touch the ball 30 times from the backfield or running in from space or on a deep. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you're more involved and you're a more influential player at 10, obviously. But, this guy's he's so electric from full back.
But it's the same as...
It was a nice little shunt on the scrum half there. Did you see?
Remember when we chatted to James Hook and he said that he didn't like playing 15 for that reason, that you get the touches, you're so far away from the action. So it may be, as a 10, you just want to be touching the ball every 3 phases, I suppose.
Here we go. Here's
getting the chances.
Stephen Kennerly. Looks like they've forgotten about tacklers rolling out to the sidelines already for this game.
It's the one thing I haven't noticed as much. It's that big show to the ref of I am moving laterally.
Yeah,
I thought I'd see more of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may be that they're just getting out of there, completely, so they don't necessarily have to. Maybe,
like if you're the referee and the guy's making a decent effort and he is not getting in the way of the 9, that's the bottom line,
Yeah. Although weirdly, in that last ruck, I did just see someone deliberately roll to the side.
Yeah.
There you go. See, now we're looking at it.
Yeah.
Go on, son.
You wonder if there'll be a little thing that they'll coach when they'll be rolling sideways and saying sideways or something. Do you remember when they used to do the clap to release?
Exactly.
To
give
the
signals.
ref could hear you.
I think he's been unfairly done on that penalty. I think he's in on the ball. And I think that should have been a penalty to the Chiefs. Sean,
I think
tell me I'm completely wrong.
I think Tano Manga's comments were timely. He complained about the referee. I would imagine the leaders are getting into the ref about it because it's swung, isn't it?
Yes,
it's definitely swung a little bit. But
I'd like to see the replay on that. I think Chief said he was competing for the ball there, but
he has to get that to 22. Let's have a look at this
replay.
He's coming that late. There's definitely a ruck formed, but here it is. So
he's come in.
That's a penalty. He's not there first. I think
I'd love to see it from the other angle because I think he's probably got his hands on the ball as quickly as possible.
But if
you're down there, if he's on the ground, you're not tackling him. So
yeah. Oh, he's come in okay. It's just the timing, maybe.
That's a bad penalty to give away in the line out there.
Got the ad though.
You got to say that on 67 minutes, the Chiefs don't deserve to win it, do they?
No, they don't at all. It's so good to see the Blues being competitive. They could win this whole thing. They could win this whole thing,
But they're such a signature team of Super Rugby, and I mean it's because I would have always said, particularly in the first sort of 10 years of Celtic League, Magners League, becoming Pro 12, you thought of Ospreys as a signature team. They were one of the headliners. I'm not saying this because Sean was involved and he was on the show, but it's just and to see them then not being so successful in the latter years is kind of similar, I suppose, to what you're saying, Paul. Now,
yeah, exactly. Well, the last 5 seasons, they've been the laughing stock team. They've won nothing. They've had all the good players. The coaching turnstile flicks every 18 months. And they've never really achieved anything. But now they look like they've got. It's the pack of forwards they've got now. I think it's the difference.
Yeah, that's it. There's the platform,
and they've got a legit 8 now, causing massive problems. That I don't think Hopkins he hasn't gone backwards once today, from what I've been seeing him. He's making those like Ryan Jones carries.
Yeah,
short, like 5 yards every time, like guaranteed over the game line. Doesn't lose the ball, but then can also put in like a little 15-meter charge.
There we go.
A bit more like Falliter. Tell you what, Gatlin will be panicking now.
So the referees, and the referees giving Cruden the warning now for listen. You need to change what you're doing at the breakdown.
Or yellow.
So yellow cards coming.
Yeah.
I think
it's 12 minutes left now, is he? Chiefs under pressure. Yeah, he is, yeah.
Under a hell of a lot of pressure now. Like Sean said earlier, you lose this, there's 2 in the bounce. 1 home, 1 away.
The only thing that is really intriguing. Oh wow. That is a great kickoff. That is they've turned it over. They've turned it over.
They have. Stick it deep. Wow. Go on. Bang.
Oh, he's outside. That's in the circumstances, that's not okay.
Got to see a bit of magic.
Yeah, you need to do something.
I said, do you know what?
Not
this illustrates something perfect though. Like, because Damien McKenzie could play with a 10 as well, but like obviously you want him at fullback. So if you're talking about Barrett, well, and you've got McKenzie available, surely you want both those guys on the pitch. So put Barrett at 10, and I mean, they've such an incredible wealth of riches, isn't it?
I tell you, but in all seriousness,
it comes down to Comes down how do you want to play, isn't it? How does Ian Foster want to play? Does he want to have an open game with counter-attacking players? Because imagine having Barrett and McKenzie in the backfield with an all-black pack. You know, but McKenzie's been shut out a little bit here today, isn't he? And last week, really.
But would you see it? What are they now? 7 points down. Would you bring McKenzie to 10 now, Sean, to get more touches?
Well, Cruden just looked. Cruden's the captain, you know, isn't he? And would I? No, I wouldn't, mate.
13 with 10 minutes to go. Blues have had 8 turnovers, as in they've conceded 8 turnovers. Cheifs have conceded 13.
That's a lot.
It is. Now I know it's a messy day, but
so have a look at the line-out numbers.
Yeah, I was looking at a few things here now.
The line-out completions must be really low. These stats I've got aren't working properly, which is why I'm not 100% confident in giving them to you. Because here it's saying, the Cheifs line-out completion is 75% and the Blues is 100%, which it can't be. They're in. Got to be in. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh. They had a 3-on-2 then, didn't they? Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Whip it the other way. Here we are, Hoskins.
He's got to take out some defenders here.
Oh, no, it's not. Nice inside ball.
Do you know, I was nearly about to say there was nobody on his shoulder, and then he's got hands like that. Oh, just the hands. Just the hands.
Oh, what a pass!
That's a heck.
What that is.
I want to see a replay. The timing of that pass. You can see the defender just going, I've got it. No, I don't.
I tell you what, that could have been a try the other way. That was
exactly. I love those.
It was like that, wasn't it?
I think another thing as well, like, I mean, it's for wingers, people always kind of say, you know, you only have one thing to do and you get to run in tries and stuff like that. That's just an accomplished finish. That's what he's getting paid to do. But you can see a lot of guys who still don't finish from there because he's made sure he's gone lower. He's not going to get pushed into touch.
Was it? Did Barrett throw the pass, the final ball?
Oh, it's our man, the 8.
No, it's
Ioane.
Akira.
It's Akira.
Is it Akira?
Yeah.
Ioane. It's Ioane, is it?
The hair dye is getting out of control here, isn't it?
It is.
Was it Rico or Akira?
I thought it was Akira.
I think it's I couldn't tell. I wasn't watching. Didn't enough detail.
I saw a flash of six.
It's one of the Ioanes. That too. Imagine doing that on live TV. Paul. Who was it? It was one of the Ioanes.
This is where I put my Muppet Avatar bet on the line, right?
Right.
My money is on Akira.
I think it is too, because I think it was blonder hair.
Yeah. I just think he was a bigger dude.
I think actually, do you know what can work for next week, Andy? Because you are watching on iPad or laptop, aren't you? You're watching the game whereas we're on TV.
I will show you my giant screen with everything going on at the same time, yeah.
But if you want to do this, I'll leave the share.
Right, here we go. It's Akira. Blindside flanker, put that in.
Lovely pass.
Oh, it was.
Oh no, it's.
Oh, it wasn't.
It's Hoskins.
It's the 8.
What? It was Hos.
It was. It's the 8.
Oh my lord.
If he's not man of the match now, I tell you what, stick your house on him getting man of the match now.
God, do you know what? You talk about sometimes how something can flick back and forth in the flow of a game and how something can turn. Like the Cheifs under pressure, they go for the short kickoff, they gather it, they go forward. You know, and as soon as they reclaim possession, you're thinking, oh, they could be on here. And then as the guy hits the deck, they get turned over, and then 90 seconds, and the Blues have just put more points on.
It's felt like to me almost like in a boxing match, the Blues have they were leading on points, just jabbing, keeping them at bay, and then they've just gone bang. They've had one opportunity and they've knocked them out.
Yeah, well, see what Aaron Cruden and Damien McKenzie might say.
Oh, hello.
The space. They have a bit of space.
Leonard Brown. That's the first time I've seen Leonard Brown.
Welcome to the game.
Yeah.
After 74
what
minutes.
A line.
And that's
great,
high.
man.
Jeez. That's got to be.
Oh,
David
lads.
McKenzie just got lifted by his head.
It's gone full Super Rugby now.
Yeah. What are we going to get? Like 20 points in the next 6
Here we go.
minutes?
Big carry down the middle. No.
He's not
That's where you
slowed up
want
now,
Jamie-
isn't it?
That's where you want Jamie Roberts there, isn't it? Just fly in underneath the post.
Well, this is the challenge. Get your try within the next minute.
It's doable.
It's
But look,
there's something
the thing is,
strange
even
here,
if you
though.
get your try, Blues are going to hold on to the ball here, aren't they? You know, it doesn't matter
Well,
what. Like if this ends in 7 points, Blues will just find a way to regather possession in some shape or form, and
Yeah.
that's game, set, and match. I mean, the clock's their friend here. What do you,
Still
what
a
do you
man.
think- What are the guiding principles at this stage of a game, Sean? You know, when you're defending and stuff like that, and you kind of know you can use the clock. I'm not saying that you tell people, hey, if we're up X amount of points, but in terms of knowing where the clock is, how important is that to what your players might do in defense? And you know, can they be a little bit more not relaxed, but can they sort of absorb more and just not worry about having to go for a killer
I mean, in
turnover?
this position, 12 points up, they're happy to go through a defensive training session here. Phases, hopefully not give a penalty away, but it's not a big problem if they give a penalty away because they're 12
That's
points.
it doesn't even matter if they give a yellow card here because you know
If they're behind, then it's different. There's an urgency to pick the right moment to try and turn it over, but now they're happy here because the clock's going.
And I think sometimes that's what people can get annoyed about when they're watching rugby at a certain time because they know once the clock, that's hell of a slice. Once the clock is in favour of the defending team, it can encourage quite a lot of not so positive behaviour.
Yes.
And, you know, if you're talking about doing radical things, because you know sometimes the clock goes into the red, and it can be a case of, well, you could give away 3 yellow cards in a row, but if it's all coming down to a line out and the other team's 22 and they're 80 metres away from the line, it doesn't make much more of a difference. I wonder if in certain circumstances you could devise a case that, you know, if you start clocking up over X amount of penalties, a further minute is added to the end of the game or something.
That's an interesting one.
That is a really good point.
Just came up that right now.
That is
no. There's something there because if you think about let's say the scrum and you can get reset scrum after reset scrum, but there is something else about the penalty and the time suck of that. Like we saw them take a quick tap there, which is unusual, but there's an attacking team who's very conscious that if we go for scrum or lineouts, we lose time. Yeah. Right.
I gotta be honest, and I've been a big advocate of this. If you watch this game back, there's so many opportunities for a sole arbiter off the field official to stop the clock and save time, save minutes. Like you watch football now, they come up and it says like 5-6 extra minutes. You think, where's that come from? Well, there's a guy off the field who's stopping it at really important points where there's no rugby going on. I think we'd have an extra 5 minutes here.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt this really good analysis with Dan Pope. Enjoyed the live chat, gents. Even better this week now I have my Sky subscription sorted. Came for the analysis, but stayed for the Muppet chat.
That's one of my best friends, Dan Pope. How are you, Danny?
There you go.
Oh, good. I think what we could
Stephen Kennelly asks
the tagline of the show: "Come for the rugby, stay for the Muppet talk."
And Stephen Kennelly asks about Sotutu. We talked about him, Steve, on our Wednesday podcast with Nick Williams, the Cardiff Blues number 8, and the answer is yes. He was highlighted, and he's on the radar. And then today's shows yet again scored a try, multiple turnovers, assist for the killer blow. He's already in the frame, isn't he?
And let's face it, he's played even better this week than last week.
Yeah.
And he was good last week.
He's scary good.
Yeah. Just going back to the thing around the time though as well. I mean, like you can see, okay, right, if we're going to be militant on the clock from the first minute, maybe that's a solution. But I do think the idea of adding 30 seconds or 60 seconds, maybe if you get into the final 2 minutes of the game, and the only problem is people say, well, why is the final 2 minutes different to the first 2 minutes, and where's the consistency of discipline or punishment throughout a game? But I genuinely feel that in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, watching as a spectacle, even though the points potentially could go the way of the team that's down by 12, you realistically know, and the team that's defending knows, look, we can kind of do what we like here, and if they get 7, they get 7. But guess what? There's not going to be any time left for them to have another go. And I just wonder, maybe in the final 2 minutes, or even if the clock goes into the red, if there's something that you could put in place there that would reward.
Do you know what?
The attacking team.
It's definitely worth one of those little trials that they do. What's that university in
Stellenbosch?
Stellenbosch. Yeah, just get a month trials on every penalty. You add 15 seconds back.
It's not a little university, mate. They got about 80 rugby teams.
What's that university? No, I mean a little trial. Because they play certain games every day with different rules, don't they?
Hey lads, as the clock's winding up here, and I'm just looking at the guy setting down for that scrum, and I've just realised something. Do you remember when I was putting all my house on Akira, throwing that pass? Yes. I've just realised that he has pink hair.
Yes,
and not blonde hair.
I think if you watch it back, you'll find that Holley called it Sotutu at the time.
He did. So. That's me 14-0 down now to Holley.
I think at least at least Andy and Paul should have Muppet avatars until next time.
Yes, now. Agreed.
Absolute potential for that. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, Gatland's 0 from 2.
And no points, no bonus point.
That's a bit
choky. Very unhappy. That was a bit choky, wasn't it?
I think it was. That's going straight off. Oh, what's he doing?
They got to play, haven't they?
Try and get a bonus point, yeah. I tell you,
I thought he might try a little chip.
He's been outrageous. How old is he, by the way?
Who?
Tui Peluto, the second row for the
Blues. The lock captain. He's got to be 26 now, I think, 27.
Yeah,
I'm looking at 27.
Adam, pull up the comment from Steve Lenthal there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's amazing how front rowers forget how to scrum around the 70-minute mark, and then a minute or two are wasted getting around from there. It is completely. There is an art to it. Okay, so if you're being very cynical, there is an art to dragging out that time without really annoying a ref, but it is extraordinary. Oh man! So that was. That's weird. In the first 10 minutes, you would have thought the Chiefs to only score 12 points in this game. You'd have been surprised. I thought there was more in them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, though. Mind you, I enjoy watching any rugby, even in those conditions.
Well, they're in pole position, and it'd be interesting to see the Crusaders going away. The Canes obviously need to bounce back. And we'll know a lot more after that game where these guys are. But the Blues certainly, they look impressive. They strangled them a little bit and took the killer punch when it was needed.
It's just, we were talking about, skills earlier on and the differences made between North and South. And I'm trying to push how good the coaching's getting in the North. But to have your number 8 in those conditions, play that pass to get in for the try. Look, there are definitely guys in the Premiership, in the Guinness Pro 14, in the top 14. There are guys who can do that, but it's as Andy said, it's so innate to the Kiwis, and it's really enjoyable to see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying watching rugby.
I really like these Saturday mornings. Because normally I'd just be up on my own now.
Stephen Kennelly lives up by me. He's not far, right? He's in a place called Pontrydyfen, the birthplace of Richard Burton, and he's off for a walk now. He lives by the river. He's gone. I'm off for my walk now, Sean. Gats for the sack. Come back to win.
Oh God! No, he'll have to come back and coach a region first. He's got to get him back into the system. Go straight back into the top job.
Do you know what, though? In all seriousness, that loss today feels. Last week's was an unlucky loss for the Chiefs, but they were outplayed today, weren't they? This feels like very different to last week. There's nothing like this wasn't a lucky drop goal.
Yeah,
They were
I think
outplayed up front.
it's like I said, I think at the start, the Chiefs are just lacking a little bit of quality compared to the Blues, aren't they? And I would imagine that'll be the same with the Crusaders now. They just got that little bit of star quality, and then say Rick Ione, Bowden Barrett with a drop goal. So Tutu's pass for the try. Those moments have made the massive difference, haven't they?
Chiefs are really missing Retallick because they, he's obviously still probably the best lock in the world, but he does so much for them in midfield. He's almost like their go-to player. He gets the ball in midfield and offloads a lot of ball in the middle of the park weirdly for a second row.
Do you know what I love in Super Rugby? And it's the Kiwis, the Aussies, and in South Africa, they all do it. Is for the post-match interview, they get the hat on with the sponsor.
Yeah,
it's like the quarterback in the NFL.
But it's specifically for commercial. It's like make sure you put our hat on. It's like Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. Make sure you've got the hat.
I'm still waiting for my Guinness hat.
Well, I'm expecting Paul to have a Wilson hat on next week. So.
Here, lads, any sponsors out there before the barbers open? You're missing an opportunity. I'm all in favor of the hats right now. Okay,
happily wear a big red cloud hat.
Yeah, or any clothing for that matter. Do you want to sponsor us with some t-shirts?
Did you see the subtlety here?
Did you see the Leon McDonald interview before the game where he was saying that after the first hit out last week, like the players were noticeably sore, like more than usual after a game? That's interesting because like the Blues, they had a day less. They lasted pretty well out there, but we didn't see as much of some of the flash as last week. But maybe that was conditions, or maybe that was just do you know what? Things are a little sore. Second time out.
Oh, I can imagine that, it's all the physical training you could do, running, treadmills, watt bike, whatever. There's nothing like smashing into each other, is there?
Very good.
Cruden's teeth are looking good though, fair play. A hell of a set of teeth on him. Nice and white.
Now this is the part that I'm not sure. It was great to see last week, but I'm not sure if I enjoy seeing people, oh great, I've just watched a game of rugby now. Let's go and enjoy ourselves even more.
You're just jealous, Redmond.
I'm jealous.
I'm
very jealous. I don't know if we mentioned it on the pod on Wednesday night, but one of the post-match interviews last week, the fans were on the pitch and two boys in the background met up and just clinked glasses.
Yeah,
it was a live interview. So,
making everyone around the world very, very jealous. But look, listen, we'll have our time yet. We'll have our time yet. Right. I think we'll wind that up. That was good. Thank you, everyone who came along for the ride again. This is our no script show where we just watch rugby and have everyone along with us because we're still just excited to be watching rugby again. So thanks for having us along. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Adam. And thank you, Ethan Athewa, for dropping in just after halftime. That was great having along, and good to see him happy, looking well. That was the Super Rugby Aotearoa watch along with Under the Sticks and with Big Red Cloud. I'm Andy McGeady. We'll talk to you again soon.